I want to welcome you to another edition of Bible Time. I'm so thankful that you're joining in as we're working our way through the Bible together. I would encourage you, the way that we do this is we follow the Believers Fellowship daily Bible reading plan. And you should read the chapters first, and then you can check in here. And hopefully you'll get some encouragement, maybe some insight that'll help you with understanding and applying what you have just read in the Bible. And we are going through 1 Samuel, and today we're at chapters 23 and 24. And we're continuing looking at the life of David as he's really, literally on the run from Saul. Saul is envious of David. Saul is afraid of David. Saul knows that David's going to be the next king. Saul's out to kill David. And he's willing to do just about anything to find David and to kill him. And so David is hiding out. David's on the run. And you're going to see him in places today. He's running around and hiding in caves in the Judean wilderness. And if you ever make a trip to Israel and you go out and you see that wilderness, there isn't a more bleak place on the planet that you're going to see. And that's where David is. That's where he's hiding out. That's where he's living. And he's living with people who are discontent and distressed and in debt. That's his army. So this is anything but a fun vacation. He's not visiting the garden spots of Israel. This is David on the run for his life. And yet, in the midst of all that, he proves himself faithful, and the people recognize him as the leader that he is. And so he gets word about this city, Keilah, which is being threatened by the Philistines. And here we see David as the godly man that he is, because he inquires of the Lord regarding whether he should go and defend this city from the Philistines, which he does. And you see David here in the midst of all of this. He is relying on divine revelation. He's looking to God for answers. And even once he takes Keilah, and then Saul hears that he did that, and Saul hears that he's there, David inquires of the Lord whether he should stay. Are the people of Keilah going to turn me over to Saul out of fear for their own lives? And the Lord assures him that they are. And so David and his men have to flee from there. They don't even get to stay very long in the city that they helped to protect from the Philistines. And he's unappreciated, basically. And he learns what a valuable lesson that a leader has to learn, that you have to learn to trust in God alone. Not even the people you serve, not even the people that you help are necessarily going to appreciate you or do good for you either. And so David is learning these valuable lessons, and he's leaning on the Lord. He's trusting in the Lord. He's looking to the Lord's revelation. And then his friend Jonathan comes and encourages him in the Lord. So he's finding encouragement from a godly friend who isn't asking anything from David. He's just there to encourage David. And then, as Saul continues to chase him around there in chapter 23, the Lord providentially protects David, because just as Saul is kind of gaining on David, Saul gets word about a Philistine attack, and he has to turn around and go back and take care of that. And David names that place the Rock of Escape, where the Lord protected him. So you see some things here in David and how he's leaning on the Lord, the Lord's revelation. He's trusting in the Lord's protection. He's receiving encouragement from a trusted friend, but he's learning that you can't always trust the people that you serve. And so he's learning valuable lessons that are going to help him as he serves eventually as the king. Well, then he goes in chapter 24 to the caves of En-Gedi. And if you go to Israel, you'll want to go to En-Gedi. It's just off the Dead Sea. And so, again, you're out in the middle of this bleak, barren place. But you go back into this kind of a canyon, and there's a water supply, and there's caves back there. And so that's where David goes. It's not the Ritz Hotel. But it's a place to stay where you have a water supply and you can be safe from Saul. Well, he and his men are hiding in a cave, and Saul knows that he's there. Saul comes looking for him, and Saul happens to go into the same cave where David and his men are. He goes in to relieve himself in the cave. And David and his men, is a big cave. They're hiding back in the back of the cave. Saul doesn't know that they're there. And David's men are saying, hey, this is the day we've been waiting for. Arise and kill him. But David, it says, his heart was struck within him. His conscience just wouldn't allow him to do that. He says in verse 5. And so what he does is he sneaks over and he just cuts off a corner of Saul's robe. And then when Saul leaves and gets a safe distance away, David comes out and reveals himself. But he shows tremendous respect for Saul, the man who wants to kill him. He bows down. He shows him respect. He recognizes that he is God's anointed king, and David, even though he's anointed to be the successor, he's not going to be a usurper. He's going to wait on the Lord for the timing, and so he's showing great respect for the Lord and great respect for Saul, the government leader who wanted to kill him. That's a valuable lesson for some of us to learn today about government leaders who are asking us to do a whole lot less. Yet David showed respect to him, and he shows him the part of his robe that he cut off to just let him know, hey, I could have killed you, but I won't do that. I will not do that. Saul seems to have kind of a change of heart, but not really. And that's why David stays hiding out in the strongholds there. But there's something really valuable for you and me to learn in this. Some things that happened there in that cave. David resisted a powerful temptation to take out his enemy. And he could have felt justified. It could have been seen as self-defense. His men were all for it. And yet he resisted temptation. He resisted the temptation. I mean, David could have been very angry at Saul for the way Saul is treating him, but he resisted that temptation. And he showed strong leadership, and he's got these 600 guys there with him, and these aren't the highest quality guys, remember, and yet he's able to lead them and tell them, no, we are not going to do this, and to explain to them why we are not going to do this. He displays tremendous leadership there, and there's a principle that you and I can learn, because anger can create all kinds of murderous thoughts within us and murderous words that we would say towards other people. What you see in David here maybe is an illustration of what it says in Proverbs 16:32. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Now, David was mighty. David did take cities, and yet his greatest strength was being slow to anger. Slow to anger. He resisted that temptation. Now, there's a lesson for you and me to learn today. We got people trying to do far less to us than what Saul wanted to do to David, and yet David controlled his anger. That's a real strength. That's a real spiritual strength. How do you develop your spirit to have that kind of strength? That's what we should be thinking about today as we think about what we've read in the Bible and things that we can learn. And the ways that we can trust the Lord to the point where we can even control our anger. So much to chew on here today, and we're looking forward to doing some more next time on Bible Time.